So we've just had a patch come out very recently with some new updates and new heroes, and I wanted to take a look at those together because for me, this is going to be a first look. Welcome everybody, welcome. If you don't know me, my name is BearCozy, and today I want to do a first look on the brand new heroes that have just come out. So this is one of them, Shane, Lord of Time. For me, he is new. I'm not sure if he has been released very recently, but he is very new and he actually seems very good. His kit is actually really good, and we're gonna dive into that in a second. Going over to the index, first hero we're going to be looking at is Shane. Now, if I can find Shane, he is right there. He's actually in the Holy Light Empire, and you can see I'm missing quite a few heroes. And Shane is one of the newer heroes. Now, he looks pretty cool. He looks really cool. I like what they did with him, and he's also really good. Nice teleportation skill there. Looking at his kit, I wanted to look at this together. So his kit seems very interesting with Karmic Cycle being his trait. Now this is kind of an interesting thing. When a team member deals damage to an enemy, increases all team members' damage dealt by 6% until the end of the round. So that is kind of cool. Max stacks 6, which is very interesting. That is really high, but I would imagine that would take lots of attacks, right? Multiple attacks. So that is going to be very interesting. The first hero that comes to mind that I'm wondering if this would work with is Jacob, because Jacob does have an ultimate that takes multiple turns in one round. Now, with the Ascension, when a team member deals damage to an enemy, increases all team members' damage dealt by 6% until the end of the round. Now, this is where the Ascension effects kick in. When a team member receives fatal damage, restores 30% of their max health, and removes their negative effects. That is huge. That seems like his trait is absolutely phenomenal. He is going to be very good. Now, he is wood, which is really good. I actually assumed he was going to be water because he's all blue, and my first impression was, oh great, another water hero for me. But he's actually a wood element, which is really nice. Nice to have some variety in the game, and I like what they've done. They've now updated the description slightly where it says Shane is a legendary support hero. I don't know if you could see that behind my camera, but they've done that now. He is now labeled as a support hero, and some of the other heroes are labeled offense and defense accordingly. Now, looking at his basic deals some damage and applies defense down 2 for 2 rounds on his basic. That's pretty good. Negative 50% defense is huge. Looking at his special, Space Time Warp is his special. I don't know why that made me giggle, but Space Time Warp is his special. Applies attack up, which will give one ally 30% attack, and damage up, which is another plus 30% damage, which is huge, and gains a bonus turn. So that ally gains a bonus turn. So already I'm looking at this kit between the Ascension effects and his special. Half of his kit, it looks like it's got Yolanda's skill baked in, which is interesting. Attack up, damage up, and a bonus turn. He is going to be really good. Plus, he's got the when a team member receives fatal damage, restores 30% of their max health, and removes their negative effects. He seems like he's going to be a really good hero to get. However, he is legendary. It's going to take some time to ascend him. And with all the new heroes coming out, his ascension is most likely on his A5. Now, looking at the ultimate, Wheel of Destiny. Deals 165% damage to all enemies and applies Law of Karma and attack down. So already on this hero, we have damage up, right? Increases damage dealt by 6%, max stacks by 10. We have defense down, we have attack up, damage up, and we have Law of Karma and attack down. So he seems like he has it all. This guy's got it all, and he is going to be fantastic. Now, Law of Karma, when attacked by units outside of their turn, meaning when they have a bonus turn or they do counterattack, things like that, damage received increases by 30%. And of course, attack down gives the enemy hero negative 30% attack for 2 rounds, and that looks like that's on a 4-turn cooldown, which is cool. And I'm sure if he's booked, that'll probably be on a 3 or a 2-turn cooldown, which is going to be really, really strong. Now, he is looking good, and I'm sure he's going to be extremely useful. I can't wait to try and get him. He is a part of the limited summons right now, if you did not know. He is part of the limited summons. However, I don't really have a whole lot of Stardust, but we can try and summon him in a later video. Now, moving on, who is the next guy? The next guy is Barclay. Moving on to Barclay, he is the next hero. He is under the Iceland Titans, or the Titan Icelands, I should say. I like Iceland Titans better. Makes them feel a little bit more powerful. They're all Titans. However, they're all tiny. They're all short. But this guy's kind of cool. He looks like he killed an ogre there, and he used it as a mask. He's got a mask going on. I'm not sure if those are his real ears. It looks like he's a dwarf with an orcish mask. So he looks really, really cool. He's got a crossbow on his shoulder there as a cannon. He looks awesome. I really like him. I like the way he looks. Let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. Now, his stats, as you can see, his basic stats, his attack is S tier. And let's move along to his trait. Blood Net is his trait. At the start of each round, applies bleeding to 2 random enemies for 2 rounds. Damage received from enemies with bleeding is reduced by 30%. So, I wonder if he's going to be good in the banker with a bleed comp. I'm sure he's going to be good in some other dungeons as well. Might be really good in Queen of Tides as well with a bleed comp. That remains to be seen. Now, bleeding says after each ability cast, it takes true damage equal to the applier's attack. And I guess it's a good thing that his base attack is already S tier. Now, moving on to his basic, Hammer Crack is his basic, deals 90% damage to 1 enemy and applies bleeding for 2 rounds. Also, summons a random ally to launch a joint attack. That is awesome. That would go really well with another bleed hero. This is going to be a bleed comp, and that's going to work out really well. So we have bleeding on his trait. We have bleeding on his basic. And then looking at the special, Tearing Wound is the special. When a team member attacks an enemy with bleed outside of their turn, triggers all bleeding effects on them for an additional time. So actually, this is very interesting. The way that I'm reading this is it triggers a damaging bleed effect. The way that I'm reading that, it does not apply a bleeding effect. It actually triggers a damaging bleed effect for an additional time. So that is interesting. I would like to see how that works. If we get him, we will build him. We'll experiment together. Also, has a 20% chance to apply 1 stack of bleeding to the target for 2 rounds, only 5 times per round on the same enemy. Wow, wow, wow. So lots of bleeds going on there. And of course, if you use books on him, if you unlock his mastery, has a 20% chance to apply 1 bonus attack of bleeding as well. Level 2 on the mastery books there. Now, looking at his ultimate, Cyclonic Stranger is the ultimate, deals 130% damage to all enemies and applies 2 stacks of bleeding for 2 rounds. Wonder if this guy is going to be good in Tulpa. Damage scales with the number of bleeding stacks on the target. If the primary target has 4 or more stacks of bleeding, summons an ally with the highest attack to launch a joint attack. Damage scales with the number of bleeding attacks on the target. So this right there tells me that you want him going. You don't want him going first. I don't know if you necessarily want him going last, but you don't want him going first. You want some other heroes, hopefully with some bleed attacks, going before him. And if his primary target has 4 or more stacks of bleeding, he actually will summon an ally with the highest attack as to launch a joint attack. So this guy's going to be really good with a bleed comp. You want a couple others. Let's say you want 2 others to go first. Apply some bleeds, 2 apiece, 3 apiece. Get 4 or more stacks of bleeding on the enemy. Then Barclay will use his ultimate, and he will not only do a bunch of damage, apply bleeding, but then he will also summon an ally with a joint attack. So that is going to be kind of cool. We'll do some shard summons at a later point. We'll see if we can grab him. Now, moving on to Rozlynn. I have to find Rozlynn, see where she is. And Rozlynn is actually in the same faction. She's in Titan Icelands, and she's actually an epic, which is cool. A lot of times, I prefer epics over legendaries for the simple reason that it's a lot easier to max them out, and it's a lot easier to book them. However, I'm still working on fully booking my first hero. So that's going to take some time, but it's a lot easier to ascend epics, and it's a lot easier to summon them than legendaries. Now, at a first glance, she looks pretty cool. I really like her weapons. I like the little moose antlers she's got there. She looks, I don't know if she looks a little bundled up, but then she's missing some legs there. She's missing some pants, definitely missing some pants there. So I don't know if she's gonna get cold, but she's got cool boots and a hat. I like what they did with her. Very unique, very creative. Now, looking at her basic stats, nothing too impressive there. She is an epic, so there's nothing really impressive. Her crit rate is standard. Her attack is A tier as well. So those are A-okay. Let's go ahead and go through her kit. See what she's got. Tundra's Wrath is a trait. Gains 15% bonus crit damage for each point of rage accumulated. And if she's ascended, every 4th instance of damage on the same target ignores 60% of the target's defense. So that's going to be really good. That tells me right there that you want her ascended for 1, and 2, you want her attacking the same target, because every 4th instance of damage on the same target ignores 60% of the target's defense. So she doesn't ignore it all the time. It's every 4th. So you want her in a ally attack team or a joint attack team where you want her taking multiple turns and getting as many hits in as you can, right? Her basic is Witchy Slash, deals 130% damage to one enemy, gains 1 rage, gains 1 bonus rage if the attack triggers a critical strike. So just like Erendil, you want her maxed out on critical strikes because she does gain rage. So she essentially gains twice as much rage if she has 100% crit rate. So she essentially gains twice as much rage if her crit rate is maxed out. So you want her crit rate maxed out. Whether she hits hard or not remains to be seen, and that will come with time. Cold Spray is her passive. Upon reaching full rage, consumes all rage to deal 110% damage to 1 random enemy. I'm not sure if I like the randomness of this. Each activation increases this ability's damage by 25%, capped at 260% total damage. So this works very much like Erendil, with the only exception that Erendil's excess crit rate converts into his critical damage. So you want to stack crit rate as much as possible on him. And for Rozlynn, when she reaches full rage, she consumes it, deals a bunch of damage, and each time she does that, it increases her damage by 25%, capped at 260% total of damage. So she will be good in Banker for sure, because as she takes repeated attacks, she will start to do more and more damage. Moving on to the ultimate, which is called Ice Wheel, deals 240% damage to 1 enemy. Also gains 4 rage if the target's health is below 70%. Now, that is really, really good. And since the Banker dies very slowly, now this is very, very interesting. I don't know if this will apply to the Banker. I will actually have to take another look at that and pay attention to his HP. I don't believe his HP moves. I will have to take another glance at that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. When you're attacking the Banker, does his HP actually drop? That's something that I've never paid attention to. I've always watched the rage meter, and since I've taken a break from the game and I'm just coming back, that is actually something I'm realizing that I've never paid attention to. But I'm assuming she will be really good in some dungeons and some other content as well. So she remains to be seen. She has a very interesting kit. It remains to be seen whether she's good or not, whether she hits hard or not. That I'm interested to find out. Summoning for Rozlynn would not be my first choice. I believe Shane is probably the best of the bunch here. But let me know what you think of these 3 heroes. Let me know if you are planning on summoning for any of these 3 heroes. Right now, my most wanted hero is Shane. He has the best kit of many heroes we've had so far. But whether I get him or not remains to be seen. So subscribe to my channel, leave me a like, also leave me a nice comment down below in the description. Let me know which hero is your favorite so far and which ones you are summoning for. And for more helpful videos like this, check out the top right.